So yes, in the previous lecture, we were talking about parliamentary and presidential form of government, and cabinet form of government is nothing but the other name of parliamentary form of government. So the answer for this question, if somebody asks you is, what is the answer for this particular question? The answer will be C, a mechanism of parliamentary democracy for ensuring collective responsibility of government to the people. Don't confuse it with kitchen cabinet. We'll talk about that later on. What is kitchen cabinet? Basic meaning of kitchen cabinet is that there are some people in the cabinet who are taking the decisions, right? Maybe there are 15 ministers, 20 ministers in the cabinet and all those, but 2-3 people are taking the decisions. That used to happen in Indira Gandhi time as well. That some people says, some political expert says that it happens right now as well. When let's say there's Modi ji, there's Amit Shah ji and other people who take decisions. 2-3 people, they are majorly taking the decisions. Others are. So hope you can understand. Kitchen cabinet is not same as cabinet form of government. Cabinet form of government is the other name of parliamentary form of government. Another question on parliamentary form of government, which was asked in pre, and then we'll move on to other important features and provision of constitution. Which of the following principles are implied institutionally in parliamentary form of government? Members of cabinet are members of parliament. Yes, that is true. The members of cabinet, they are members of parliament. They have to be, right? Ministers who, and again, what happens in these kind of questions now, if you are not sure about any statement, don't eliminate that statement. Keep it in the loop. The word here is, or the statement here is, keep it in the loop. So what do we know? Ministers hold the office till they enjoy confidence in the parliament. Cabinet is headed by head of the state. Now, this statement, you should know that this is wrong. Head of the state is president. Head of the state. Who is the head of the state? President. But cabinet is headed by whom? Prime Minister. Cabinet is not headed by president. So third statement has to be wrong. If third statement is wrong, you're left with only A, that is 1 and 2 only. So even if you have confusion here, whether they're a member of parliament or not, whether they hold office till they enjoy confidence or not, if you know that third is wrong, you're able to get the answer. That is called option elimination. And that more or less works in UPSC prelims. So they are member of parliament, they have to be. Even let's say PM, if he is not a member of parliament, that is Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, he has to be a member within 6 months. Same goes for his ministers. Same goes for chief minister and others. Ministers hold the office till they enjoy confidence. Yes, if they lose confidence, that is no confidence motion can be passed against them and they can be removed. Tikashe? So you can see Modi ji here, you can see Uma Bharti ma'am here, so many people. Varun Gandhi, he's Varun Gandhi, right? Ravi Shankar Prasad, all these guys, they're here. Amit Shah ji, he's here. So again, let's not focus on who is there and who is not. Move on. Preamble. Another important provision. And again, we are talking about those provisions on which UPSC mains question has been asked. Prelims question, there are so many. We'll talk about that also, but major focus is on mains. So first of all, what is preamble? That is the introductory portion. Introductory portion of the Constitution. Introductory portion of Constitution. Fine. So this is the introductory portion of Constitution. And what else? From where have been inspired? So first thing first, we have been inspired from US. From US, you have taken this. And then there's something also known as objective resolution, which was passed by Nehru ji in Constituent Assembly in 1946, if I'm not wrong. And that led to the creation of preamble. So sometimes they will even tell you that Indian preamble is inspired from US. That is correct. They can even tell you that Indian preamble is inspired from objective resolution, which was passed in our Constituent Assembly. What is Constituent Assembly? Which is making the Constitution for us. So that is also correct. Preamble, introductory portion. There was a debate on this preamble, whether preamble is a part of the Constitution or not. Yes, it is a part of the Constitution. It is part of the Constitution, but it is not justiciable. Justiciable means, let's say they have written here socialist, and let's say the proper socialist model is not followed in our country. So it's not like you will go to the judiciary and you will say that my socialist principle, which is there in preamble, that is being violated. You cannot do that. It is non-justiciable. So do keep it in mind, independent of other parts. So let's say if there are some portion here, like let's say we are saying we are a secular country, and that is also there in fundamental rights, article 25 to 28. So that means then it has to be protected because it is a part of fundamental rights. So there was a question, there was a UPSC question on this preamble part. I will just show you that question. And before I show you that question, let's see this question. A parliamentary system of government is one in which, what is the answer according to you of this particular question? And why my voice is so heavy today? So again, man, parliamentary means executive is part of legislature. E is part of L. E, responsible to L. This is the thing you have to remember. Rest, everything is jibber jabber. They are consequences. This is the major meaning. E part of L, E responsible to L. So here, what is the answer? All political parties are represented. Bullshit. Government is elected by people. Yes, but that is democracy, not parliamentary form of government. Government is chosen by the parliament, cannot be removed. That is wrong. Government is responsible to the parliament and can be removed by it. So this is the question. Now, let me show you another question which was asked in 2020 only. This question related to preamble. And then we'll go to the mains portion of preamble. And we'll talk some more about preamble. So preamble of the constitution, it is a part of the constitution, not a part. I've just told you that, and this was a debate. This was a debate whether it was a part of constitution or not. And then Supreme Court judgments clarified it that yes, it is a part of the constitution. So it is a part of the constitution. So you will remove those points where they are saying that it is not a part of the constitution. Now this is a very tricky question, because ideally we have just seen that it is a part of the constitution, but it is not justiciable. So if you are in a hurry, there are many students who, and exam pressure is a different scenario altogether. And that's why I always tell that when people get confused related to cutoff and all those things, don't think and don't worry about the people who are just sitting in AC room and they're making the answers. It's very different from when you are giving the exam in a pressure cooker like situation. So in exam, you have some issues, you face some pressure. So what happens in this scenario, in this question, if you succumb to that pressure, you will take A, but you have to read all options. Always ensure that you read all options in UPSC. You have to choose the best possible option. So first looks correct, fine. Don't tick it right now. Don't fill the OMR right now. A part of the constitution has same legal effect as any other part. That is wrong. We know it is not justiciable. Now see this, a part of the constitution that has no legal effect independently of other parts. So let's say there are some things in preamble, which is also there in fundamental rights. So that is justiciable because fundamental right is justiciable. So independently of other parts, preamble is not justiciable. But if there are some common points, which is there in preamble, and let's say it is there in some other part, which is justiciable, like fundamental rights, then it is justiciable and you can go to the court for implementing that, not because it is in preamble, but because it is in fundamental rights, which in itself is justiciable. So the answer here is, the best option here is D. Please, if you have any issues, you can mail it to me that I did not understand this question. I will try to explain it again, but hopefully go through this question again and you will understand why D is the answer. Part of the constitution, no legal effect, independent of other parts. Because of this is a very, very good point which they have added. So now let's try to understand preamble via some mains question, because the more question you solve in mains, the more you will be able to understand. So again, here I've already told it to many of my students that try to remember preamble. You have to remember preamble. There can be a question in future, they have not yet asked it, where they will tell you to write the whole preamble. So you have to remember it. And if you remember it, you will be able to solve so many questions on preamble, which you will understand now when we will discuss it. So preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic. How many types of justice they have talked about? 3 types: social, economic, and political. Liberty, how will you will remember which type of liberty they are talking about? Just remember TEF 4. What do you have to remember? TEF 4. TEF 4. Now, what is TEF 4? Liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. TEF 4. Fraternity, assuring the dignity of individual, unity, and integrity of nation. Fine, man. Just have a look at it, because now we'll talk something very interesting about it. So objective resolution, I've already told you that there are 2 bases of preamble. One, USA's constitution has inspired it. Then the second thing was we created our own objective resolution. Objective means these are the aims, right? And these are the fundamentals which will be guiding our constitution. And that was its modified version became the preamble. So do remember this part as well. Now let's talk about mains questions on preamble. Very, very important. Now this question, let's try to do both these questions one by one. And because of the second question, which was asked in 2016 mains, you have to remember the preamble. Because if you don't remember the preamble, how will you remember what are the adjectives which are attached to the word republic? I've just shown you the preamble, but it's very likely that if you don't remember preamble, you'll be forgetting the adjectives which are attached to the word republic. First of all, let's talk about this. Delineate the nature and scope of preamble of Indian Constitution. So you can talk about the preamble is the introductory portion. And then there is one jurist. There's one judge, very famous judge, Jurist NA Palkhivala. And this statement, which I'm telling you, you can use it for your answer. Jurist NA Palkhivala. What he said was that preamble is the identity card of the Constitution. According to Jurist NA Palkhivala, these kind of statement you have to use. Preamble is the identity card of the Constitution. identity card of the Constitution. This part, do remember it. Then after talking about preamble is the introductory portion, Jurist NA Palkhivala has said this, you have to directly jump to the point. They're talking about 2 points. Nature. What is the nature of preamble? What is it telling you? So again, if you go back to the preamble, you will see that it enshrines the ideal of a secular state. They do talk about secular state, right? Enshrines the ideal of a secular state. Ideal of a secular state. Although the socialist and secular were added by 42nd Amendment, but it tells that India is a secular state, which is also there in Article 25 to 28, which talks about right to freedom of religion. Then what else? And they say, we the people of India, like they're saying that the people are the ultimate authority, states that people are ultimate authority. We give to ourselves this constitution on 26 November 1949. So all these points, they state that people are the ultimate authority. They are the ones who are taking the decision. And constitution emerges from them. People are ultimate authority and constitution is emerging from them. So these are some of the natures emerges from them. So this is the nature. Now we have to talk about scope. Scope means how we can use the preamble. It is not justiciable. How you will use it then. So secular state, you can see the word here. There is a secular word here. Then people are the ultimate authority. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved, we give to ourselves this constitution. So you can see here, people are the ultimate authority and constitution is emerging from the people. Now, the next part here is about the scope of the constitution. How can we use preamble? When we're saying we, that means judiciary, how can it interpret preamble? What effect it has? It is not legally implementable, but then it has to have some use. Otherwise, why we have put it? So what is the scope? So first of all, it gives direction and purpose to constitution. They talk about that we are a socialist country, or we should be strive to be a socialist economy, or equitable distribution of resources should be there. Secular country we should be democratic, all these things. So it gives direction and purpose to constitution. It tells constitution, or it enables that the other provisions of constitutions are adhering to the basic principles which are there in the preamble. So it gives direction and purpose to constitution. Then also it helps judiciary. It aids in legal interpretation. So let's say there are some provisions in constitution which are ambiguous, which doesn't make proper sense. So sometimes preamble is being seen that what is written in preamble. So it adds in legal interpretation of constitution, where languages, like sometimes where the language is found to be ambiguous. Ambiguous means there is no clear understanding what they are trying to say. Sometimes what happens, like social media. So in social media now, when you post some stuff, you think a lot, because there are so many, freedom of speech and expression is not absolute. There are restrictions on it under Article 19 Clause 2. So you think, because there are some people who were like arrested for posting some pictures, etc. So you think about it, because they say that they can be arrested if you are posting some pictures which is inciting violence or which goes against public order. Then what is the meaning? What is public order? Or which is like, there's some ambiguous words which are always there, where there can be different interpretation and it's not uniform. You cannot tell exactly what they want to tell, and there is some amount of fear because of that. So where these kind of language ambiguity is there, preamble comes into picture. And Supreme Court, they have also in their various judgments, they have said that preamble imposes a limitation. So preamble is talking about so many things. So many things they talk about. We should be having equality, 2 types of equality, status and opportunity, different types of liberty, different type of justice. So they tell, like, the parliament people, that you cannot do any kind of amendment. You have to ensure that there are some points, there are some words which are there. And these words, they tell us that the basic, like, these are the objectives. Remember objective resolution? So whatever is there in preamble, they will be acting as an objective. So it acts as a limitation on misuse of amending powers of legislature. This is not told by me, this is told by Supreme Court in their various judgments. So these are some points which you can write in the first part. Now, the second question is more important, because it has already been asked in 2016 mains. So when it has already been asked in mains, there's a very high probability that they will ask you similar kind of questions. And once you have done this question, you will be understanding how good that this particular question is. And if you're preparing for other PSCs also, sometimes they just copy questions which has been asked in means UPSC. So discuss each adjective attached to the word republic in the preamble. Now, if you can, it's very difficult for you to write this answer if you don't remember the preamble. So what are the different words which are there? And I will also show you my answer, what I have written earlier. And I have missed some words because maybe at that time I got overconfident or I was not remembering the preamble. So you should not do the same mistake. So what are the different words which are there? So first of all, you can start in this question, how you can start that the preamble starts with we the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign. Now there that they have written some words in square bracket: sovereign, socialist, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. So that means there are four adjectives which they have talked about when they're talking about republic: sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. I have forgotten one. I skipped one because maybe because of exam tension, I don't know why. So I forgot one. Think about it, which one I forgot out of these four: sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. I forgot this one, democratic. I wrote sovereign, I wrote socialist, I wrote secular, I forgot democratic. So these are four adjectives. Now here, I have seen so many answers on this question discussed in different forums. They talk about the first part. Nobody talks about the second part. So here you will divide your answer into two parts: adjectives attached to republic. Adjectives attached to republic. This is your first part, first heading. And here you will talk about all the adjectives, four adjectives, and then you will talk about each one of them one by one. Sovereign. India is a sovereign country. What is the meaning of sovereignty? That we are independent in every affair, including foreign affairs, NAM, non-alignment, our current stand on WTO, all these things, they are a proof that we are sovereign country. So define sovereignty. What is sovereignty? Then socialist model. Socialist means we aim at equitable distribution of resources. Equitable distribution of resources. That is the aim. Just define this. The other things what government has done, etc., we'll talk about in the second part, which is defendable in present circumstances. Equitable distribution of resources. This is the second part. Third part. So sovereign done, socialist done. You just have to define what is the basic meaning. Third is secular. Secular means we all know what is secular. Everyone is free to profess or propagate their religion. And this is also there in Article 25 to 28. Freedom of religion. Free to profess or propagate your religion. Then democratic. Democratic means government of the people, for the people, by the people. We have a universal adult franchise. So all these points you have written. This is the first part where we are discussing each adjective attached to the word republic. Now, the second part is, are they defendable? Defendable in present circumstances. So this will be your second heading, defendable in present circumstances. This you have to do. I have not seen many answers do that. God knows why. Many good coaching institutes, etc., they have not written the answer in a better manner. So this is the second heading, defendable in present circumstances. Or whether or not these adjectives defendable in present circumstances, you can expand this heading. So here again, you will talk one by one. First, sovereign. Whether sovereignty is defendable in present circumstances or not. So India is an independent country, but we need to be mindful of our hostile neighbors. Who are our hostile neighbors? Pakistan and China. So we need to be mindful of our hostile neighbors, that is Pakistan and China, to defend our sovereignty in every way possible. Again, you have to use these words, defend our sovereignty in every way possible. So that's how we can defend our sovereignty. Then the second part is about socialist. So what has happened? India is a mixed economy now. India is a mixed economy, capitalist plus socialist model we follow. Then we have done LPG reforms. So we have, like, there are many people who says that we have tilted towards the capitalist model more. But again, even after doing all these LPG reforms, market liberalization, social welfare is an objective. Social welfare is still an objective. Social welfare is still an objective. How? We do provide subsidies, we do progressive taxation. So all these things ensure that we defend socialist model. So you can talk about subsidies, progressive taxation. Progressive taxation means the higher is your the higher is your income, the higher taxes will be given by you. So this is the second part, socialist model. Now we are talking about the defendable portion, how it is defendable in present circumstances, whether or not they are defendable in present circumstances. So second point done, secularism. So how will you define whether secularism is defendable in present circumstances or not? Or what is a threat to that? So the third point here is secularism. So here you can talk about that there are rising instances of mob lynching, right, which pose a threat. Rising instances of mob lynching, communal forces, which pose a threat. But there are so many things which are happening, which is good. Manipur, they have passed an anti-lynching act. They are the first state in our country to pass the anti-lynching act. So this shows that yes, secularism can indeed be defended, anti-lynching act. Then there are provisions in IPC also. There are provisions in Indian Penal Code which talks about controlling mob activities. So that's how we will protect or defend our secularism. Then democratic. Democratic means government of the people, for the people, or by the people. But do we have a government which is of the people, which has been made by us, which is working for us? So it has been diluted by criminalization of politics. More and more criminals are entering the politics. Criminalization of politics, or opaqueness in political funding, criminalization of politics, opaqueness in political funding. So we need to opaqueness in political funding. God knows political parties are getting money from where. So these issues are there, opaqueness in political funding. Like right now they are posing curbs on NGOs. They cannot get money from foreign parties, but that restriction is not there for political parties. Political parties can get money from anywhere and everywhere. So that is a dichotomy. All these things are diluting the democratic fundamental. So here we have to implement reforms of second ARC. If we do these, we will defend the democratic tenet of our preamble. So all these things need stronger political will. So that is the whole thing which you have to write here. Hope I have given you a good fodder here for this particular question, a very good question actually. And I did not find any answer very satisfying, whatever I have seen on Google and anywhere else. Fine, sir and ma'am. So now let me show you the handwritten notes, or the answer which I had written here. So this was my answer. I'm just scan this. So again, you can start with we the people of India and then adjectives attached to the word republic. So I've written only 3: sovereign, socialist, secular. I've forgotten about democratic. So don't do that. And sometimes overconfidence can kill you in exam. Each and every marks matter. So fourth, democratic, and then define each word. What is sovereign? What is socialist? What is secular? And let me make it bigger if you're not able to see it. So handwritten notes, now, if somebody explains it to you, what is handwritten notes, it helps a lot in writing good answers. So socialist, you'll talk about that. Secular, free to profess and propagate their religion. And democratic means like of the people, for the people. Then the second heading is very important. If you don't give it, you will not get good marks. How it is defendable in present circumstances. Socialist objective, we have talked about this. Secular, mob lynching, but Manipur is doing very good. Northeastern states are awesome. So there's a need for stronger political will. And then other points also I have given you. I have given myself, I think I'm being too optimistic here. I should not be getting 5.5. Mail me how much you will give me in this marks. Self-evaluation is also very important. The thing is, if you do self-evaluation, you have to do self-evaluation. Sometimes you will feel like the checker, who is the checker? The checker are people like us who have given mains, interviews, not cleared the exam by like finally. And so they are the people who are like us. So maybe sometimes you know more than the checkers. So that can happen, but always don't be very pessimistic. Think like if there are some good points, imbibe it. But if you feel like there are some points which are not that good, reject it. It's totally up to you. Similarly, whatever I have given you the answer, if you feel there are good points, imbibe it. Thika sir and ma'am. So let's keep until here only for this. In the next part, now we'll do some pre-questions also on preamble which has come, and then we'll move on to other features and provisions. Let's see how many parts we make on this features and provision, and then we'll move on to the other areas. Take care, be blessed, bye bye.